quick little history of my nursing career. Part one, I didn't always want to be a nurse. I actually wanted to go into law or forensic psychology. And then the summer between my junior and senior year in high school, my best friend was in the hospital. She was recovering from surgery, and I stayed overnight with her so her parents could go home and get some rest and tend to her younger brother. And I paid attention to what the nurses were doing. It piqued my interest, and here we are. I started off in the RN program after I graduated high school, but then life happened and I had to take a pause, and it took several years before I could go back to school. So at that point, I needed to be in the workforce a little bit faster, so I actually started the LPN program in 2009. During my clinical rotations on labor and delivery in the LPN program, that is where I fell in love with midwifery, and I've wanted to be a midwife ever since. So I choose nurse practitioner instead of midwife. Well, in my area, there were not a lot of opportunities for midwives. And at the point that I had to choose my master's, I had not had an opportunity to work on labor and delivery. And I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into a very narrow field if I didn't end up loving it and it didn't end up being everything I hoped it would be. The plan had been to work on the nurse practitioner program and then do a postmaster in midwifery. And then life happened again. By the time I finished my nurse practitioner program in 2021, I was so burned out on working full time while going to school full time and balancing family. And my daughter was growing up, and I felt like I was just missing out on things that I didn't want to miss out on anymore. So I decided to just work and live and find something that I enjoyed as a nurse practitioner and be content. Emphasis on the live part. I found a role that I loved and thought was going to be my forever home, and then life happened again. While I loved the role, I loved my patients. The environment was not the best fit, and unfortunately, I had to go back to the drawing board.